My name is Hutch. I make videos, put them on the internet. It's bonding time. Let's get into it. I asked you guys to give me some questions on Twitter, and you guys came through. So first of all, I'm going to start with you, Franklin, who said, did you go to college? And if so, what for? I did go to college for 3.5 years. I never got my degree. I had like 70 or 80 units done maybe. So a couple years left, year and a half. And I studied sociology and Spanish. Dan Schultz wants to know, what's your favorite meme? My favorite meme of all time has got to be this llama. I don't know why. It's fucking hilarious to me. I lose my shit every time I see that meme. Scooting along says, how do you view the usage of one's following and social platforms to express political views? Good or bad effects too. So you're going to have some good effects, and you're going to have some bad effects, definitely. The bad effects that you're going to have is that you will end up alienating some people that follow you, that maybe they didn't know that you were political before, maybe they don't agree with your beliefs, and you're just going to lose some to a lot of people. I don't know. I don't have the exact numbers on those. The upside is that if it's something that you believe in, then you can say that you yourself are contributing to getting information out, getting the right information out to the people that follow you that maybe wouldn't have seen that otherwise, which I think is cool. And I get messages every day from people that thank me for the stuff that I tweet out there and everything. Now, like the people that are in the opposite camp of you or in a different camp from you are going to tell you that you're spreading misinformation and lies, but what are you going to do? Bryce Robinson wants to ask, what's the single most important piece of advice you would give to someone in their early 20s? It's a good question, Bryce. The early 20s, I think, is a really awful, confusing time. It was for me. I didn't start getting a lot more comfortable in my own skin until I was like mid-20s. So if I were to give advice, certainly doesn't apply to everybody because not everybody's like me, but if I were to give advice, I would say number one, focus on investing in experiences rather than material things for the present, because I think that in order to actualize or in order to become the person that you want to become, you need to I think it's incumbent on everybody to go out there and actually have some experiences, have some life experiences to draw from, so that they can point to those experiences and say, hey, I did this thing this one time, and this is what I learned from it, and this is how that helps me today. If you're just staying inside all day watching YouTube videos or playing video games, then I think that you may miss out on a lot of that. I think especially when you're young, just getting out there, traveling, meeting new people, and actually gaining some life experience. And then you'll find that those really strong opinions that you have on stuff are actually based on something that you've learned in your life, which is good. So I would say that would be my advice. Try not to take yourself too seriously. Get out there and experience stuff. It's a great big world out there. Hunter wants to ask, ever feel like video games have stunted your maturity? Where do you draw the line when you've played too much? I think in my case, it's a little bit different because technically I'm rewarded, even financially rewarded for playing video games just way too long. You know, if I had a regular 9-to-5 job and other responsibilities in my life, if I had a kid or any number of other variables, then I don't think 8 hours of playing Destiny or fucking 12 or 18 hours of playing Destiny is a really smart or healthy thing to do. But so in that respect, if I had a 9-to-5, I wouldn't be playing as much. When I had 9-to-5s or other kind of regular jobs, I wasn't playing as much. But do I feel like they've stunted my maturity? I don't think so. And in fact, I think most of the research that's coming out now suggests that it helps people develop problem-solving skills and even like faster reflexes. So no, I see a lot of upsides to video games, not too many downsides, personally. Grunt, I'm just going to say grunt. What is the meaning of life and why are we here? So I think the meaning of life is to live. And asking why are we here, I heard this one Buddhist parable one time. Or I think Buddha himself, the original Buddha, Siddhartha, said this. When he said, that's like asking if there's a God. And I kind of put that in the same category as asking why we're here. Asking if there's a God is like getting shot with a poison-tipped arrow. And then before taking out the arrow, you go door to door in the town that you're in to find out who shot you with the arrow. Doesn't it make more sense just to pull the arrow out? I think like the question of why we're here is like kind of like that. Because I feel like you can spend a lot of time and energy asking questions that maybe you can get close to answering. And then other questions like this one, you'll just never, I mean, you know, Christians will tell you one thing and Buddhists will tell you another thing. Jews will tell you another thing. Muslims will tell you another thing. Hindus will tell you another thing. Everybody says they have the answer. Nobody knows. So I choose not to stress too much on that question. Maticus Finch says, don't know if it's been asked before, but do you still get affected by anxiety in everyday life? If so, how do you deal with it? I'd say the short answer to that is no. I don't know. Maybe it's yes. I mean, I do find something to legitimately stress out about, maybe a little bit more than I should at times on most days. But as far as anxiety as like a crippling, ever-present thing in my life, it's just not there anymore. How do I deal with it? Like, it does pop up from time to time. Like, my girlfriend had a work party in December, and she was already down there, and I get in an Uber to get dropped off over there, and for no discernible reason, I just started getting really, really anxious to the point where I felt like my chest was kind of closing in on me, shortness of breath, stuff like that. And whenever I have moments like that, I don't freak out too much anymore because I'm armed with the awareness that it always passes. So what I'll do in those moments is just like focus on the feeling and kind of lean into it, and then just breathe. And then just naturally over time, it dissipates. It works every time. I don't know anyone that's had an anxiety attack or a panic attack and it just lasts their whole life. I just don't think that's possible. So if you can kind of like make that voice in your head a little bit louder, the one that tells you this will pass, this will get better, just breathe, then I think that's like 90% of dealing with anxiety. And this is coming from someone who I would say that I had really bad anxiety for sometimes years at a time, sometimes like 2 years at a time of just unrelenting stress and agony. So getting out of that was kind of an ordeal. I'd say one more thing to ask that I would suggest doing would be to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. And so if you get invited out to go hang out with your friends or something like that, it's Saturday night, let's say you're having a massive existential crisis or an anxiety attack, and you don't want to go, it sounds like the worst possible thing you can do. I would bet good money that if you made the effort to go anyways, you would feel better about yourself by the time you got home. Like, hey, I didn't want to do that, but I have all these friends that like me a lot and want to see me and want to hang out with me, so I kind of did this thing for them, even though it didn't really feel great. So by the time, like, one thing I heard one time is the way you build self-esteem is by doing esteemable acts. And I think that this kind of applies in that situation. So yeah, put yourself out there, even if you feel nervous, even if you think you look like an idiot, and then surround yourself with people that aren't going to judge you. I think that's a good way to deal with it. Jesus says, why are you a better sniper than OpticX? I think it's when it comes down to it, it's a combination of just possessing more raw skill and a higher desire to be the best or to win. But either way, stats don't lie. Go fuck yourself, Hector. Lumpy Taters wants to ask, what is your earliest memory? I think I've been asked this question before, I can't remember, but I have a very vivid first memory. And I was 3 years old, and my mom was dropping off one of my older sisters to kindergarten at the time. That's how I know I was 3. She's 2 years older than me, so she was 5 when she was in kindergarten, and I was 3 at the time. And I saw this kid painting. I just wandered out from my mom. I saw this kid painting it was like a ground with grass and then a tree. And then I thought that his painting needed a sky. Seemed only natural that you would want to paint a sky there. So I grabbed a brush and started painting it blue. And the fucking kid lost his shit and scared me. And I ran and held my mom's leg and started crying. That's my first ever memory, and it's still vivid, so vivid to me to this day. I can remember the clothes I was wearing. I can remember it was cold and kind of misty and foggy outside, and And I can remember getting the fucking shit scared out of me by this bigger, older kid. Brendan wants to ask, what's your favorite movie of the year? A movie that surprised you, and how do you deal with your anxiety? So my favorite movie of the year is Manchester by the Sea. It's a movie starring Casey Affleck. I'll tell you now, it's brutal. It's a brutal, brutal watch, but hands down my favorite movie of the year. The acting was just on another level. A movie that surprised me, I'm going to say Sing Street, which is currently on Netflix. That ended up being one of my favorite movies last year. It was such a, like, I think now more than ever we need movies that make you feel happy and make you feel good. And that was definitely one of them. So I would absolutely recommend checking that movie out. And then how do you deal with anxiety? I think I just answered that one a minute ago. So that's actually the last question. And I want to thank you guys again for, I put it out on Twitter and you guys managed to ask interesting questions every time. And I'm glad you guys still stick around, keep an active interest in this stuff. I may stream a little bit later. This is probably going to go up in about an hour. It's going to be about 4:30 p.m. my time. I may stream later. If I do, I'll let you know on Twitter. Links are in the description. If you like what you see today, hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, click the like button, and I'll talk to you later.